Fellow cardboarders, welcome back. With Sharklands being reprinted in the upcoming Ravnica Remastered set, is it finally time to buy Sharklands again? Should you be selling? What about Unfinity Sharks? Let's answer all of those questions in our latest installment of Stronk Stonks. Welcome back, everybody. This is video 150 and our channel is still growing. My goal for the end of the year would be to reach 500 subscribers. So by the end of the video, if this was in any way helpful, informative to you, consider subscribing to this channel, share this or any other video with friends and family so they can join as well. So I ordered this wonderful watery grave here in foil from Unfinity. Nice worm token here with Deft Touch and Lifelink, kind of cute. And I was wondering, should I order now? I think I paid around 25 bucks for this one since it is damaged up here in the corner, which is a little sad, but I don't mind it that much and it's still playable. So yeah, and I was wondering, should I be ordering this Sharkland now while knowing that the new Ravnica Remastered set is just around the corner? And one argument could be that the uniqueness of those Unfinity lands makes their price pretty stable, even though they are reprinted soon. And this inspired me to make this video, so we can look at some prices here together and make an educated decision, and also have a nice discussion in the comments below. If it's time to sell Sharklands now, should you buy them now or after the release of the set? And yeah, what about those Unfinity lands? So to start off, we have this water grave here from the original Ravnica set. MtG Stocks is a wonderful website which I like to use to look at price history. They started their recording of prices around 2012 apparently, which is the oldest price we have here. So this is not when those came out. I think they came out in 2005. And in 2012, you paid like 20 bucks for a Sharkland. They became cheaper here with the release of Gatecrash, crashing down to around like 12 bucks. And this graph is quite similar for all of the different Sharklands. Some ups and downs between the different ones since they were more prominent in Modern or any other format for a while, and then they went out of style. Something got banned or whatever. But for today, let's focus on the watery grave, and everything we say and find here can be applied to all the other Sharklands as well. You can also see that after the release of Gatecrash in the upcoming years, these prices for watery grave went up again to around here when the reprint of watery grave was announced again with the next Ravnica block, the Guilds of Ravnica and the Ravnica Legions. And interestingly enough, the price also went up again towards the end of War of the Spark. I think at some point they also made a secret layer, so this should be one of the price decreases here. And then the market recovered again, since it has been like 3 years that the Sharks have been reprinted, so today you pay around 20 bucks and at the highest you paid like 30. And they went down here again with the prices, which should be around the announcement of Sharks being reprinted in the newest upcoming set of Ravnica Remastered. So the first question that should be addressed is if this is the lowest those prices will go for this copy or the others. Keep in mind, the OG Sharks will always hold a premium compared to the reprints of Gatecrash and Guilds of Ravnica. But what will the lowest be for Sharklands in the upcoming months? And in my opinion, it will be lower than that we see right now. So these can go down to like their lowest they've been since the recording of Magic cards here on MtG Stocks. So I think they can go down even further than just the 12 bucks we've seen in 2015. Let's also look at the foil prices for the original watery grave. And we see here a hard spike up, which was around the COVID phase when all the cards, including reserved list cards, just spiked up in price. People doubled and tripled their money and everything became collectible again. And they held their price at around like 250 or so and are now trending downwards a little. So the question is, how far will they go? With Ravnica Remastered reprints, we see that they reuse the original art, put them into the modern frame, and we can also see that they will have a full art version, which also does not have the reminder text that this one taps for red and green, for example. The originals still do, but these won't. And you see here, for example, a beautiful different art of the Watery Grave. Now, interestingly enough, they are going to be adding old border frames for these lands as well, which also don't have a reminder of Island Swamp, for example, here for the Watery Grave. And these will be the Chase version, probably for the set. These will also probably come out as etched foils as well, like they did in Modern Horizons. And so collectors have another version to chase after and pay a high price for. Probably these full art foils of these Shocklands will also have a higher premium. Everything will also depend on how rare those lands are going to be in the booster packs and where you're going to get them. Another question when you look at the Unfinity lands is, what about the price for those cards? And I think those will go a little bit lower. So if you are waiting to snatch them up, I think you should wait until the release, or maybe 1 or 2 weeks after the release of Ravnica Remastered if you want a version of this. But they are quite unique in their artwork, and I don't think there will be a reprint anytime soon of this specific artwork, if at all. But keep in mind, Magic the Gathering has also become a game of different versions to be collected, and we have here like 7 different artworks. And now the question is, those Unfinity lands, will they always be the most special? Probably not. There will be different full art versions of Watery Grave and the other shocks as well. What about the Zendikar Expedition Watery Grave? There will probably be a day where we are gonna get another expedition version of Watery Grave, just as we did for Scalding Tarn and the other fetch lands. So the question for you to answer would rather be, which version do you prefer? And depending on the uniqueness of the artwork and the rarity, maybe you should wait or shouldn't. So for the Unfinity lands, I think the market is already at its peak. As you can see, the price is already trending a little bit upwards here. It's trending down here again. But I think this should be peak supply now. As a rule of thumb, normally you say like 6 months after release is when you should buy your cards if you just want to wait for the market to cool down. So this set has been out for over a year now. So if you want this art style, get it. If you want just a Shockland, wait for the release of Ravnica Remastered set, since prices for the normal copies will plummet, flooding the market again, and we are highly likely seeing the lowest Shocklands have ever been. If you want a little comparison, let's look at the original Scalding Tarn, which has been pretty much at $100 at its peak. And with the reprint of Modern Horizons here, the price has just been annihilated, and you can get your fetches now for around $20 each. You can see here the Modern Horizons version, just $16 So this is the best time to pick up your fetch lands if you still need some. And what we're all wondering is if these will ever recover again, since they are so low in price right now, the lowest they've ever been. I always say don't overpay, don't go all in. If you want shocks, if you want fetches, just get yourself a playset of each. You're probably not gonna regret it, since you will always have your game pieces. And therefore lands to play in your collection and don't have to worry about price. And the best time probably to pick up another playset of Watery Grave will be about a couple of months after the release of Ravnica Remastered. I actually don't think that the price point is a big factor here. This set will be more expensive than a normal draft set, obviously, since it is a remastered set, since Modern Horizons was also a premium set and just collapse the prices of fetch lands. So the likelihood of shock lands plummeting in price is also very likely. Final thoughts? I think if you want to buy yourself a regular copy of Watery Grave, it will be the remastered version, the normal version, the non-premium version that will be the cheapest, and I would aim for like $10 to $8, maybe €7 for a Watery Grave. Maybe it goes lower, maybe it stays higher, but that is what I would go for if I needed more copies of a regular Watery Grave just to play with. Lastly, the question that has to be answered is, should you sell all your Shocklands now before the release? And I think the answer is no. I think you should have already sold them if you wanted to sell them at their high, but then again, you'd never know when the high is. So right now, with everyone knowing that shocks are going to be reprinted, I don't think it's a good time to FOMO sell, since the prices are already down as we've seen. Then again, it's not the worst time to sell, since they are higher than they were back then, just after the release of Great Gatecrash. So the question is, how much did you pay, and would you make money by selling them now? If the answer is yes, and you just need the money, I think you should sell them. If you are playing them and like them, I think you should keep them. And if you bought at the highs and are selling now for a loss, but you really need the money, I think family and financial stability always goes first, so I guess sell them. But always keep in mind, this is all non-financial advice. This is all what I would do in the different scenarios. And I, for myself, I just keep my Shocklands to myself right now. In regards to my Shocklands, I will just hold them and play with them, and will continue to bling out my decks with some Unfinity foils and maybe some Ravnica Remastered full art foils. I did notice, by the way, here's a side by side, that the Unfinity foils are more full art than the upcoming Ravnica Remastered full arts. So the text box is a little smaller, which I found interesting. And maybe that is something people are drawn to more, just to keep that in mind. Then again, there are spaceships on there, and that's not a thing many Magic players enjoy in my eyes. So there's that. But now I do want to hear from you. Do you have any foil Unfinity copies? Are you gonna get some? What about Galaxy foils? Are you aiming for any cheap Watery Graves or other shocks to snatch up for your commander decks? What's the price you would be targeting for the different copies? Let us know in the comments below. Help us reach that 500 subscriber goal by booping this button right here. And the YouTube algorithm thinks that this video is one you would enjoy next. See you there, have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.